the Lions tour is looking a little bit dicey, and I hate the arrogance of saying it will be a squash match, but in terms of what you're looking at, Australia now down in ninth in the world rankings, and even that is probably generous at this point. England, Scotland, Ireland are obviously in the top five teams, top six teams in the world. Wales are, they give Australia a pretty good run out. You've got the synergy of all four of those nations playing against Australia, a nation in decline. It's not looking like it would be much of a contest at the moment. I think that is fair to say. First of all, Juandre, would the Springboks have the Lions? I mean, the 2021 tour was obviously such a non-event due to the pandemic and various reasons. A tour to South Africa would be our preferred destination at the moment. I think it would be absolutely wonderful, but it probably won't happen. But do you think it would be well received?
Yeah, definitely. If you see the whole country and uniting behind the sport and things like that, and where South Africa is at this stage, and obviously the UK teams is strong as you mentioned at the moment, and South Africa also. I think the end of year tour is Scotland, England, Wales in that format for South Africa end of this year. So, and that's going to be a great end of year tour as well. But I mean, obviously Joe Smith, he's got some little bit insights to the British Lions and things like that. So at the end of the day, they are down in dumps at the moment. I'm sure they'll because you want to have a great competitive tour for the world to watch and things like that. And I'm sure it will be better than at the moment their performances.
I hope so. Brendan, what's your take on it? I know you mentioned the Argentina tour, and that's a debate for another time, but what's your take on
Well, it isn't. It isn't. I mean, I think it's integral to the Lions' future going forward that they be this team that takes the product around the world. Now, Australia tours, even when Australia was strong, weren't great occasions. 2001 was a good Test match series, but that's what it was. It was a Test match series. I've toured all over the world. There is no better place in the world to go to for a rugby tourist in Argentina. A three Test matches, three or four provincial matches, a match against Uruguay, a match against Chile would be the best tour ever. There's no question
And
about
good for World Rugby. It will be very good for World
it.
Rugby.
Great for World Rugby. It'd be great for rugby tourists. It'd be great for South America, the continent, which is where rugby's growing, which is the Spanish speaking rugby sphere is where it's growing. So I'm not even necessarily saying doing it instead. It's not Argentina or Australia, but somewhere on that lion spectrum, they need to get down to Argentina and South America. If they want to be this great brand, why keep it all in-house? Why all the profits, all the profile, all the money go to these three old established areas and the home unions? It just speaks of what rugby is at the moment, and that is still an inward-looking, self-contained sport instead of exploding out. And of course, that's what the Lions used to do. They used to go to Argentina 100 years ago. They used to go around the world, and they've stopped doing that. And they've got to reboot the brand a bit. You don't drop everything, but you reboot it, and you start going to places that you should be going to.
I suppose the sort of
Speech over.
no. I mean, you said a lot of the right things. I think maybe the sort of weakening of Australia is the door that it opens the necessary door. And by that, I mean, obviously, the three destinations of the British and Irish Lions over the years, they're the three rugby powerhouses, right? Above anything the Northern Hemisphere has been able to produce. Obviously, that gap has been bridged generally. I would say, obviously, the Springboks have maybe convalesced lately, and that has maybe re-established a certain dominance. But certainly until, 2019 through to 2022, there was a feeling that France and England, before the sort of decline, were catching up. Ireland as well. Sorry, I should of course mention that. Maybe this is the sort of us saying, okay, well, if we're going to Australia, we should go to Argentina, and maybe that could then extend elsewhere as well. So I see where you're coming from. I would love a Pacific Islands tour. Yeah. I think that would be a lot of
fun. Well, that ought to be the thing with Australia. See, Australia weren't always a powerhouse, remember, and they used to be tagged on to the end of the New Zealand leg to a New Zealand tour. It's only quite a recent thing that Australia gets its own tour. And I think Australia plus the Pacific Islands playing test matches in the Pacific Islands, that would be a great tour. I'd be all for that.
Or you have a synergist Pacific Islands team and get them playing against the Lions, and you pick the best of Fiji, Tonga, Samoa. I think that would be a lot of fun, and that would obviously be great to watch.